We're back tonight with more local news. The Secretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs was in Sai Kung today, gathering opinions from district councillors about reforms for the chief executive election in 2017. As Vicky Kung reports, there were different views on whether civil nomination should play a part in the process.
With a consultation period on methods for selecting the chief executive and forming the legislative council well underway, senior officials have been busy gathering people's views. Today, Secretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Raymond Tam met Sai Kung district councillors to get their opinions. Many were divided over the controversial issue of civil nomination for the chief executive. Neo-Democrat legislator Gary Fan, who's also a Sai Kung district councillor, thinks civil nomination is essential to universal suffrage. He doesn't believe the idea is against the basic law, but not everyone agreed with Fan. Another district councillor, Chong Yun Tung, suggests people shouldn't waste time on discussing things that are against the central government's viewpoint or the basic law. Tam, who will visit 17 more districts for similar consultations, seemed against having a civil nomination. Tam says Article 45 of the Basic Law clearly sets the framework of having a committee to nominate CE election candidates. Later this evening, Chief Secretary for Administration Carrie Lam also played her part by hosting another dinner with lawmakers. It's the second out of 4 dinners at her peak home which are designed to gather opinions on the issue. Vicky Kong, TVB News.
Students from ethnic minority backgrounds have long faced social issues like unemployment due to their low proficiency in the Chinese language. Sources say the chief executive is expected to announce a number of measures in his policy address next week to change this situation. Joao De Silva reports.
Afai was a 6-year-old boy when he immigrated to Hong Kong from Pakistan. 2 years ago, he graduated from secondary school. Despite achieving an A in Chinese in his General Certificate of Education exam, his proficiency in the language is not good enough for him to use it in his daily life. It doesn't even allow him to secure a job driving around as a delivery man. Local Chinese secondary school students usually take the Hong Kong Diploma of Secondary Education exam, or DSE. But the high Chinese standard required for DSE makes it hard for students from ethnic minority groups to pass the exam. So many opt for the GCE Chinese exam instead, even though the standard required to pass it is the equivalent to the primary school level required of local Chinese students. Kenneth Lau, assistant headmaster of a secondary school, says local Chinese students usually have already attained a high level of proficiency in the language by the time they reach school age, which puts ethnic minority students at a disadvantage. He says ethnic minority students in mainstream schools are taught at the same level as local Chinese ones, and so they fall behind. Lau notes that when these ethnic minority students reach secondary school, it is very hard for them to catch up with their peers because Chinese isn't taught as a second language. Lau says what's needed is the introduction of Chinese as a second language courses in local schools, a position also defended by barrister and former legislator Margaret Ng.
The real thing which can change the situation is to institute the teaching of Chinese as a second language in mainstream schools, set up a proper curriculum, train your teachers, provide the teaching material, give sufficient support to your students, and that is the way to solve the problem.
Sources say that in the upcoming policy address, the chief executive will pledge to allocate resources to deal with the current problem. It is unknown, however, whether any plans to introduce Chinese as a second language in mainstream schools will be unveiled. João De Silva, TVB News.
Following last week's death of an 18-year-old student from flu, the health chief today urged those in high-risk groups to get vaccinated, as Hong Kong is now in its peak season for flu. Stephanie Choi reports.
Last week, the Center for Health Protection tested positive 245 samples of influenza A and B. That's an 80% jump from the week before. Secretary for Food and Health Ko Wing-man says the influenza A H1N1 or swine flu virus has been going around both in Hong Kong and overseas. But he thinks it's too early to conclude on what to expect from this flu season.
We have to await the accumulated analysis of data for this surveillance system, so that we will know that whether there has been a significant increase in the prevalence of influenza locally, as well as how the different subtypes of influenza has changed from the last year to this particular year.
Ko assures the public that the government has an adequate supply of flu medication to reduce the risk of death.
We also have effective clinical guidelines for the front line, so that whenever there are patients who have been diagnosed with seasonal influenza, and when they are within the 48 hours of onset, they can be administered the medications.
Ko urged the public to make use of the government's vaccination schemes and get the flu shots that are suitable for them, and to practice good personal hygiene. An 18-year-old male student from a special needs school in Shamshui-po died last Saturday from suspected influenza A. But further testing of samples of secretions from his respiratory system is still underway. The Center for Health Protection has ordered a 7-day class suspension for the school starting today. Also, with the rising number of H7N9 bird flu cases on the mainland, the health chief says experts are still looking into details for testing H7 serum antibodies. This test will give a more accurate indication of a bird's exposure to the virus than the rapid tests now being used. Ko hopes the government will implement the new test as soon as possible. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
Tony's got some football action for us.
That's right, some football and, of course, the Dakar Rally, which is well underway in Argentina. First football, and clubs across Europe are back in action after the winter break. In Spain, Real Madrid kept up the pressure on league leaders Barcelona with a solid win overnight. At the heart of it was Cristiano Ronaldo, who's having another excellent season. In Spain, Real Madrid hosted Celta Vigo at the Bernabeu, but a moment of silence to remember one of the greats of football, Eusebio, the legendary Portuguese forward who died last weekend. It took Madrid a while to break down the visitors. Karim Benzema broke the deadlock in the 66th minute, tapping in from close range off a short pass from Jesse Rodriguez. 15 minutes later, Cristiano Ronaldo made it 2-0 with another close-range effort. Madrid's goal-scoring machine grabbed his second of the game at the stroke of full time to complete a routine 3-0 win. Over in Italy, Napoli closed the gap on second-placed Roma, who lost over the weekend to league leaders Juventus. The Blues notched up a tidy win over Northerners Sampdoria. Dries Martins pounced twice for Napoli in the second half to seal a 2-0 win for the club. Italian giants AC Milan have struggled this season, but at least Kaká was on hand to help them notch up a win over Atalanta. The Brazilian star scored twice as Milan won 3-0. Kaká now has more than 100 career goals for the team and is enjoying a successful comeback to the Serie A. Well, the usual suspects are battling for top honours in the Dakar Rally. Two-time defending champion Stefan Petterhansel won stage 2. The Frenchman now has a 28-second lead in the rankings over Spain's Carlos Sainz. In the motorcycle section, Britain's Sam Sunderland won the second stage, but Spain's Joan Barreda Bor did enough to maintain his overall lead.
And that is our news.
Thanks for watching. Good night.
Good evening. The weather was cloudy at first, but there were sunny intervals in the afternoon. And as tonight's situation chart shows, the easterly airstream over the coastal areas of Guangdong has moderated gradually. Today's temperatures range from 16.5 to 19.1 degrees, and the relative humidity was between 70 and 88%. Fresh easterly winds. The current temperature is now 18.3 degrees Celsius, with the relative humidity standing at 81%. A trace of rainfall has been recorded since midnight. So Freddie, how's the weather tomorrow? It will be mainly cloudy tonight. Sunny periods during the day with 1 or 2 rain patches later tomorrow. Temperatures will range between 16 to 22 degrees. There will be rather cool mornings in the next couple of days. Tomorrow's air quality health index is forecast at moderate, and the maximum UV index forecast for tomorrow will be about 5. And here's the latest global weather update. Showers in Shanghai and Taipei, cloudy in Xiamen. Showers in Guangzhou and Macau, cloudy in Chengdu. Cloudy in Beijing, rain in Seoul and Tokyo. Cloudy in Ho Chi Minh City, bright in Manila. Thunderstorms in Kuala Lumpur and Singapore, rain in Jakarta. Sunny in Karachi and Mumbai. Sunny in Cairo. Showers in Brisbane and Sydney, sunny in Melbourne. Cloudy in Toronto. Rain in Vancouver, sunny in San Francisco and Los Angeles. Bright in London, cloudy in Paris and Frankfurt. And that's the weather. Have a lovely evening.